Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Gregory Christopher. I'm the Guidance Department Chairperson, so I want to welcome you this morning to Woodrow Wilson High School. Thank you for coming out. Parents, students, and dignitaries, Ms. Wilson, we sure do appreciate you coming out. And I'm not going to go any further because I'm going to call up Ms. Loretta Gooden, who is the president of the association. So, Ms. Gooden, great job.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Well, he took my thunder, so I'm just going to tell you that I'm the president of the District Parent Advisory Council, Miss Betty. Miss Thomas, she's the vice president, and Mr. Barfield, Kevin Barfield, is our secretary and your ceremony master of ceremony today. And I'm going to hand it over to Miss Betty Thomas, our vice president.
I guess I can stand. Let me see. Well, we got a little audience, didn't we? Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all this morning? Counting the days? That was mighty slow. Y'all act like you don't want to leave. Uh-oh, got one sound like me. Well, I'm glad you like it, and I hope you did good this year and do very well next year. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming and being with us, and I hope you've learned something from our speakers and our program. And I'd like to say thank you for coming.
Now I'll turn it over to the master of ceremony.
Good morning, everyone. So right now we wanted to bring up Miss Martha Wilson. She's the president of the advisory board, and she's also the co-chair. She's the chairperson of the parental involvement in the school district. Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Barfield. I bid you greetings on behalf of the Camden Advisory Board this morning. I want to thank you all for coming out and being a part of this program. It's very important, the topics that are going to be dealt with today, that if you gain just one or two things from it, that's the most important thing. And then we want to also have input from you, because you're the reason that we're here. God bless you, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. And again, my name is Kevin Barfield. I'm the secretary of the District Parent Advisory Council. I have two sons that attend here at Woodrow Wilson. So as a parent, it's important for me to be involved in the school, in the district, and support your students. So that's why we're here today. Excuse me. Right now we have two guests here. We have Mr. Jonathan Youngs, Senior. He's he's a freeholder, and he's over One Stop. Are any of y'all familiar with One Stop? One Stop Center on Mount Ephraim Avenue? Okay. Well, that's for employment. Then we have Mr. Drew Brent. He's a business owner. He has his own business. He's a masonry. So we had also a gentleman who was a state trooper, but he was unable to make it. And then we have another gentleman that he probably may show up, but he's part of he's another business owner. So the point again today is that what we wanted to do is we want to discuss some topics. One of them is the important roles that males play in the development of their children, their family, and their community. The other part that we want to also discuss is the importance of reading and literacy. And then the other part that we want to talk about is job and careers. The difference between having a job and having a career, and entrepreneurship. So again, one of the things that that we understand is important as adults, because as parents, we have we're in the responsibility of raising the children, that we want to make sure that we providing and guiding them with the best resources available for y'all to succeed. Because one day y'all will be and y'all will be taking the leadership of, as far as being taking care of your parents. Y'all going, I mean, I'm not quite sure how many of y'all here got girlfriends and boyfriends. Huh? Nobody has no girlfriends? None of the boys don't have no girlfriends? Have a wife? You got a wife? Okay. So 9 times out of 10. So the point is this, that one day y'all gonna be in a position that y'all gonna be responsible for somebody. So again, what role are you gonna play in your family? So right now I'm gonna let these individual gentlemen up here introduce themselves and give you a little bit more information about them and who and what they represent.
Good morning. My name is Johnny Young. I am a freeholder here in Camden County, which is part of the county government. Some of my responsibility as a freeholder is for public safety, which is a communication center, some of your police chiefs association. I'm also do sustainability, but one of my big parts of my departments is the one stop and the WIB, which is workforce development. My full-time job, I'm a business agent for the Carpenters Union. So we do a lot of programs and we do a lot of interacting with the neighborhoods that we perform work in, to making sure that individuals have an opportunity not only to a job, as Mr. Barfield was talking about earlier, but to a path to a career, which is probably the most important thing that you can start to focus in on. The earlier the better. The more years you put into your career, the better off you are on the inside of on the other side of it when you're start talking about retirement and looking on the bad side of it. A lot of kids at 17 and 18-year-old probably look at you now and you talk about retirement. You talking about things that happens when you get to that elder age, right? 60s, going up and retire. You can't really see it right now, but it's very, very important. Because I couldn't see it 22 years ago when I first started my career as a union carpenter. But now that I'm 48 and I'm starting to get closer and I'm creeping there, I see how important it was for me to make sure that I secured that at a young age. A lot of people get too far in life and decide to start and then realize that they only have 10 years before they're eligible to retire, and by then your pensions and your annuities and things aren't good enough. So what happens after you retire, you never really retire. You end up keep on going out and trying to find ways to make ends meet because your retirement. And every situation is different. Sometimes it's just the facts of life, the way things happen. But as a young individual, you have control over that right now, and you have an opportunity to make sure that you can go out and you can sustain yourself from now until the time you retire. And it's very important. And when we start talking about jobs and careers, we're going to start talking about the difference between the two. And it's nothing wrong with a job. If you're in between, you're trying to make ends meet, you're trying to provide for your family, you have to do it. But then if you stay in that path of just having a job, that's what it'd be. It'd just be a week-to-week process of you trying to live week to week. When you get a career, you know exactly what you're heading, you know what your goals are, you know what you're going to do, and it makes life a little bit easier for you. So you really have to get career minded and really start to change your mindset about having a job. And really start to focus in on careers. When you start talking about careers, you start talking about benefits, health benefits, which right at 18, 19, 20 years old, I'm not going to get sick. It's not going to matter to me. Well, I got 2 boys, and as you go through and you go through the development age of having a kid, the hospital bills that come along with it, I did not pay one single dime for my kids to be born, right? That bill was already taken care of because of health benefits. As they're coming up and they're young, and all the doctor visits and everything that's going through, didn't pay anything. I paid a $10 copay, and everything's covered on it. And that's the important side of it, because we all can sit out and we can make money a week, but if you have to take your weekly earnings and then out of that weekly earnings pay all your bills and pay doctor bills and medical bills along with it, it just doesn't seem to work. So you really have to start thinking forward. And again, I know benefits is probably not the most thing on your mind right now, but it's a very, very important piece to it. And the fact of keeping you healthy and keeping you going to the doctors and make sure that you're getting your yearly checkups with no worries on it, right? A lot of people don't go to the doctors now because it's just too expensive to go, and they don't have the money to do it. So if you can get a career where offers a benefit package from it, that takes a lot of the burden off of your plate as far as your financial burdens go. So we'll get into it a little bit more. I could talk all day about it, but we'll get into a little bit more, and I'll pass the mic over.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Drew Brent. I'm here from the city of Camden. Reared in the Parkside section. I graduated Camden High School in 1980, and I can honestly say, when you're talking about, and I know we're going to talk about it later, about jobs and careers. I love my career. I hated my job. I'm going to be honest with you. Because just like y'all here in high school, I reared 2 children while I was in high school, so I had to get a job. And for 20 years, I had a job until I learned my craft. It turned into a career. And I've been on my job for 41 years, and I still love my job. I go to work every day with a smile on my face. And I guess people be like, you swing a 22-pound sledgehammer, run jackhammers, laying 100-pound block, digging trenches, but you love your job. I love my job because it was given to me. I was one of the blessed ones. My father taught me how to be a young man, how to handle a job, how to handle life even when it's like it was a crisis. You understand what I'm saying? And still to today, I still sit in the park in my truck and I talk to my father, even though he's gone, for that guidance that he gave me as I was coming up as a child here in Camden. So it's like this with me. We all might take different paths to getting or learning the career or working in the career that we want to work in. But the similarities is this. Just stay focused. I was able to stay focused through all adversity, and I faced a whole lot of sickness, bankruptcies, children that I love to death now. You know what I mean? And I thank God that I had to go through what I had to go through to get where I'm at today. My business, I didn't change the name. It's C. Brent Masonry Contracting, which was my father's name. And I remember he said something to me one time. He said, I asked him a question. I said, Dad, why you never put a son on the truck? He said, because you never act like a son. You just act like a worker. So I live by that today. I'm more than just a worker. I'm a man in business. And my father gave me something that I will keep and hold dear for the rest of my life. So with that, I just want everybody to know that it ain't where you start, it's how you finish.
Thank you, Mr. Brent. So let me ask the students a question. So what's the grade levels we have? We got any seniors here? Okay, so you want to tell us what y'all career paths are? Like what you're going to do now after you're out of school? Be a movie actor. Be a movie actor.
My name is Rasheem Burns. I'm going to Lincoln University to study biology to become a doctor.
All right. So what are your goals, your career aspirations, your goals?
Let me see.
Hold up. We want you to speak into the microphone. So if you can.
I don't want to stand up. How y'all doing? I just want to be successful. I don't know. I'm not sure. I gotta use the bathroom.
Thank you. So any other juniors? We got any other juniors? Come on. Come on. Huh? Come on, stand up, sir. Because the point of what sophomore, it's never too soon. What are your aspirations? What are your goals? Bro. I got you.
How y'all doing? My name is James Norman, and I aspire to be an entertainer.
All right, you want to be shy. Come on. We want the students to see that the thing is this. You don't want to tell us what you want to be? What your goals are?
I don't want to get up.
Sorry, just speak.
But my goals are where I'm
What
gonna.
do you want to be? What you want to do?
I want to go to NJIT for engineering. Yeah, that's it.
That's good. So the point is, excuse me, sir. You over there in the cut? You want to come and be a part of this meeting? No? Okay. So the point and the reason why I was asking the question was the fact that, again, when you're talking about what you want to do or what you're aspiring to be, what are you doing now to work on that? Because just like with this gentleman, just going to be a doctor, you've been preparing for how many years now? 3 years when you determine. So basically you've been studying, right? Correct, studying, and you're putting the time in so you can be prepared for when you do get to college and be able to take on the workload. So the point is that when we're talking about job and career readiness is starting right now, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or even as a senior. Because it's like the gentleman said, he may not know what it is that he wants to do, but just like what Mr. Young will be talking about, career opportunities at One Stop, that may be some area where you can go and figure out, okay, what is going on there? What am I good at? What my interest is, rather it's working with my hands. Some people are good at working with their hands. Some people are good at communicating. And just like a day like today, it's very important that, and I understand, you can be a little nervous and, want to laugh and joke, but this is the seriousness, because when you go out there in the real world and you have to communicate yourself, to promote yourself, to want someone to hire you, you have to communicate. And one of the things that we know that our children have an issue with is standing in front of people and talking legibly. So again, we just want to encourage you guys, to take this day seriously, because again, if you don't have or may not know what it is you want to do, maybe something may pique your interest today to make you go into the direction to do more research, to prepare yourself, because just like Mr. Young said, that by the time you get to as a senior, or in the junior or whatever, then you will already kind of have some direction. Not meaning that's where you're going to end up at, but it's a start. It's about building your foundation. So can we talk about some of the career opportunities or training or programs that are available through One Stop?
Before I get to that, I didn't mean to chase the young guy out of the room on that particular question. But when you talk about success, right? So you talk about, what is success, right? And it's very, very broad. But when you start thinking about success, it's kind of a personal thing, right? What are my successes? What am I going to do to contribute? And I wake up every single morning, and I got a phrase. I put my feet on the floor. I say my name, right? Everything else for the day is gravy. I have beat the best odds ever out there. I got a chance, an opportunity to breathe again for another day. Had an opportunity to make a difference another day, right? So for me, that's success for me, right? It's a huge, right? So, but when you start writing your goals down and you start doing, you start thinking about what you're doing. You know, if you have a career path, you know, I don't care who's in the room, who's around you, own it, right? Be proud about it. You know, you shouldn't be afraid to tell somebody that you're going to be a doctor. Not that you are, right? But you own it, right? That this is what I'm working for, and your peers around you should build you up for that, right? And inspire you for that, man. And say, hey, man, that's something I could really look forward to. You know, I never really thought about being a doctor. You know, how'd you get to this path here, right? So, but it's determination. So you have an idea in your mind, you have a path that you're going on, and you stick with it, right? You just stay on that path and you keep going. That goes for any young individual in here. Anything that you have your mind set on, you go for it and you do what you need to do to get there. So when we start talking about opportunities at the One Stop, first of all, does anybody here know what the One Stop is? Okay. So if you don't know where it is, we definitely don't know where it is either, right? So it was over on Mount Ephraim Avenue. 2600, and what the One Stop, the traditional part of One Stop used to always be thought of as a welfare to work transition, right? So that's why a lot of people now just, I'm not going over there. There's nothing there for it. So the One Stop is now turned into what we call a career center. And it goes from, we have a youth program over there who's dealing with 16-year-old to 24-year-olds. That seems to be the real hotbed right now throughout the country, is that particular age group. And we feel as though we're losing that age group, whether they're dropping out of school, and if they're dropping out of school, why they're dropping out of school, and how can we get them back to become productive citizens in their communities. You have a program over there who retools people since 2008, when we had the worst economy in my lifetime, and probably most people in here lifetime as well. A lot of people lost their jobs, and they had to figure out their jobs didn't come back, so they had to figure out they could either do one or two things. They could quit and give up, stay in the system, and just sit back and collect a check from the government as far as they can take it, or they can make a decision in their life to retool themselves and find a new career path and go. And that's what we've been finding out down at the One Stop. And what we do is it's called a need assessment. So basically we go around the county and we figure out what industries does the county have to offer. And then we gear our programs and we design our programs towards those industries within our county. And what that does one of two things. That shows us that we're not just training folks for jobs that don't exist, and we're giving folks an opportunity for a real career path to retool themselves. So there are a couple of different things that happens there. So you have a couple of different individuals that walk through the door, and what I like to do is I think them as door prizes. So you walk in the door and you get assessed. First time you get assessed to kind of see where you are. Do you have your GED? You have a driver's license, or do you have your high school diploma? What are your aspirations? Do you need certain services? You have some people to come in there complete, and they'll go right through door number one, and they're ready for job preparedness, and they'll go into what they call their career path choosing, and they go through it. And then you have door number two, where somebody might not have all of the things that they need to go to work right away, so we'll provide those wraparound services for them. If there's a literacy problem, we help them with the literacy problem. If they don't have their GED, we help them attain their GED. So we really get them ready, and really get them geared. We have a Dress for Success program, where you walk through the hallway and there's two big tall mirrors, full body mirrors, and you walk past the mirror and you kind of look in the mirror and you say, can I get a job like this? This is the way I look right now. Is this presentable enough? So it kind of really keeps you and your mind conscious of how you dress and how you're acting on a consistent basis. Then you have door number three, where you have an individual that just really needs to be built up from the ground up, and we have those as well. What you have to remember is, as you go through life, the choices you make, they're your choices that you make. Sometimes those choices are brought upon you not to your own fault, all right? But nevertheless, they are choices, right? So you have a choice to make at that point of what you're going to do. You always remember, no matter what happens, you have control over your life. You have control over your own destiny, all right? There's too many people going around telling you what you can't do, what you shouldn't do, what you're not going to be able to do, right? It's all the same thing. Never, ever let anybody tell you you cannot do something. Very, very important lesson in life right there. You're your own individual. You control your own destiny, and you can make it out of no matter what happens. You can have the worst situation in the world. I've seen people who have been homeless and came out of that and made something of their lives. Why? Because they made a conscious decision to get on the right path and do the right thing. And it's an honest decision. And it's something that you look forward to. I got 22 years in my career right now, and I got another 14 to go. I can I can retire at the age of 57 if I wanted to. If I chose to, I can retire at the age of 57. So that's something that you think about, right? But most people in most careers, 62, 65, and they got to keep going. 66, right? So the choices that you make now will affect you for the rest of your life. Good, bad, or indifference. I just got the timer.
Yeah. So even saying that, Mr. Young, with Mr. Brent, is there any mentoring that you do with your company, or would you like to mentor? Because my other point is this: that how many students have filed for summer jobs? How many of you guys working this summer? That's good. So with that, is there any mentoring programs, or would you like to mentor some students? Because one of the things that I realized that what you do with masonry is that there's always something, there's always some concrete or something that's broke, that, you know, that needs to be, something always needs to be done, needs to be fixed. So is there anything that you do in your business to help mentor anyone who's willing to want to work hard?
First and foremost, it's not a playground. It's a job for a special select few. And I've been doing it since I was 9. Not by choice. It was something that my father required. Ms. Wilson can attest to that. That we were neighbors for about 20 years almost. But I do give up young people opportunities to come out to want to learn this trade, but the first thing they ask me is how much they're going to make. Bad question. Because the first thing I ask you, what is it that you know, or what are you willing to learn? Because there's no machines out there with me. I don't have backhoes. I don't have front-end graders. I don't have dump trucks. I got picks, shovels, trowels, sledgehammers, and sweat. So it's like if an individual shows an interest, it's all up to them. It depends on how far they want to go with it. If you want to be a laborer, pick up a tool. Ask me how to learn how to use a tool. If you don't want to be a laborer, ask me how did I learn how to read blueprints and draw diagrams. If you don't want to be a laborer, ask me how did I become a mason, so I can show you how to become a mason. You know, it took many years for me to become a mason, because I just treated my job for many years like a job. Then it came to a point where I wanted more than just a job. I learned the business, but it's the sad part in that, the way I went about learning the business. I had to make some mistakes first. And I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. I had to go away for a while. But while I was away, I didn't just sit on my behind. I didn't just let my ability to learn dissipate. I taught myself different things, like excuse me, like draft. I got a draftman's degree while I was away, what we call state college, however it may be. But it worked for me. You know what I'm saying? I got my art certificate in state college. I learned how can I say that? redo the map system in so many words. Because while I was where I was at, everything went from metric to degrees. And I took the time to learn. So when I was able once again to come back into society and be a productive member of society, I would be caught up to the times. So with that, you know, it's a lot to be learned. It's a whole lot to be learned. It's more mine than anything else, because the work is not what keeps me up. The physical part is not what keeps me up at night. Is the educational and the mental part. Like I was telling Mr. Barfield on my way across the ramp, I remember I was working like 80 miles away. I was set up for a major pour, but something didn't seem right, and I was in my bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. It woke me up. I drove 80 miles because I wasn't sure if I had everything intact. But when I got there, I had everything intact, so I just stayed on the job that morning. But it's up to the person. You got to be built for it. Everybody's not built for masonry contracting. Everybody's not built to sling a 22-pound sledgehammer every day. Everybody's not built to be out in the 100-degree weather in the summertime and the 20-degree weather in the wintertime. Everybody's not built for that. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, and they told my father respectfully, I'm not doing that. And I told my father, this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because it had a little fascination with it. First it was the money. Then I seen how big and strong it made me. And then I seen where it could go. Then I found out that many people don't want to do it, so there ain't gonna be many people my way. So I'm pretty much in a box by myself sometimes. I'm not just a construction worker no more. My man gave me the title today, Master Mason. I design things, not just with my hands, with my mind first. So if you're an individual who has the capacity or ability to think and think things through, even when it don't seem right, if you can stay with it, you can make it in this field. And I'm here to help you.
Thank you, Mr. Brent. And right now we have one of our guests, Mr. Rashid Horsby from Visionary Entertainment. Plus, he's a man of many hats. Parkside Business Association. What is it? Well, you can talk about all the hats that you wear. Centerville Simbers coach all year round. This man is phenomenal. I tell you, I don't know how he got the time to do all the things he's doing, but can you tell him a little bit about yourself? Go ahead and speak.
How's everybody doing? Pretty good. Sorry for being late. Had some, as you said, I'm the president of the Centerville Simbers. We had some vandalism over at our field. Our air compressor was stolen, so I had to wait for the contractors to come. So pardon me, my tardiness for being late. But I'm the president of the Centerville Simbers youth sports organization. I've been the president. This is my 4th year. I played there as a kid. I've been coaching over there now for 10 years. We offer football, baseball, basketball, flag football. We have cheerleading. We now have the Boy Scouts. So we service kids basically from 4 to 15 years old. In addition to that, I have a couple businesses myself. I have an entertainment company where I do management, have a recording studio. I've been doing that since 2008. I have my company. My son is one of my artists, which is Young Papa. He goes to Creative Arts High School. He's about to graduate this year, so I'm happy about that. He's a senior. But I was a father young, 17 years old, when I had my son. Still finished high school, went on to college. Actually, I'm still with my son's mother. All my children are by my wife. We got married when I was 21 years old. So actually June 29th, we're about to celebrate our 15th year anniversary of being married. Thank you. Wasn't easy, but I believe that what we started out on was real. Our foundation was love, and I think everything else pretty much takes care of itself. Outside of that, just give back. I love my city, born and raised here, never lived anywhere else, been around the world, but it's nothing like home. I love my city. No, regardless of what anybody says, I feel comfortable here. I feel safe. There are some things that we definitely need to change, but it's a work in progress, and it takes everybody. You guys, any of the youth that are in here, pursue your dreams. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do anything. I know I'm really big on that for myself and my children. And even coming from Camden, a lot of times people try to put caps on your success and what you can and can't do, and I don't believe in that. Actually, being from Camden, I think we're actually more inclined to be successful because we come from the bottom, so we can't go anywhere else but up. So that's where I like to practice. I like to, talk to my kids about that. Last night, I had the privilege, one of my coaches that coached me, Coach Orlando Pettigrew, he's a postal worker, but his son's been long gone from the organization, but he's still coaching. Actually, he coached me. He coached my son that's graduating this year, and he's not now about to coach my 5-year-old. I have 5-year-old twins. So, he's about to coach my youngest child. So almost, about 3 generations of my family he's coaching. He's still there giving back. So people like that inspire me to want to give back and, continue to stay in there and continue to fight, because a lot of times people say, Rashawn, why don't you leave? You could take your family. I even have family members like, it's rough down there, cuz, and I see it as well sometimes, having children, it kind of puts you in a bind sometimes because you always want the best quality of life for your children. But I'm a big believer in that if we take all the jewels out, what do the kids have to look up to? And a lot of times it's out of sight, out of mind. I believe that that's one of the biggest things Camden faces, that we have great people that come from here, but when everybody becomes successful, goes off to college, they don't come back. And I don't like that saying that, once you go, they tell kids don't ever look back. You shouldn't do that, because if you go 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away, children that grow up in Morristown, Cherry Hill, Pennsauken, they don't go to college and don't ever come back. They come back and they're police chiefs, they're principals, they own businesses, they're business professionals. So why do we tell our children to leave our community and never come back? If all the gems leave, what do the kids here that are coming behind them have to look forward to? So I'm really big on being an example. You can talk a lot, but your work and what you're out here doing, speaks more volume than that. So I'm big on actually, thank you. But just working with great people, Miss Wilson, I do a lot of things with Miss Wilson, Brother Barfield. I like to work with everybody in my community. I don't care, political affiliation, what race, we all need to work together. Camden needs a holistic approach to help. It takes everybody in every aspect. Education is important, civics, politics, grassroots. It takes everything. Economics, it's going to take everything, to help our city. And it's going to take everybody, even the youth. We need you guys. You guys make up 36,000 of our population, just about half our youth 19 and under. So you guys have a big stake in this city. So we need to hear more from you. Be more vocal in what you want in your schools and in your community. When you have people around, myself, Miss Wilson, we pull those people to the side and say, hey, listen, I have an idea about this, idea about that. I told some kids last night that I spoke with, the dumbest question is the one that doesn't get answered. So don't think, oh, this might not sound intelligent. It might, might be small. It doesn't matter. If you have a suggestion, everybody's input is worthy and should be accepted. And I believe in that, but, I do this, every year with Brother Barfield. I definitely appreciate it, but I just want to give back. After this, I have a ton of meetings. I have to get the kids at 2:30, and it just continues after that. I'm going to another event at 4:30 with some remarkable graduates that the school is having. So I just like to be involved. A lot of times people talk and they're not involved. I feel like, let's get involved. Stop all the talking and let's get more involved. These kids need us. Adults need us, because a lot of times, even with adults, I take my father, for instance. My father didn't raise me. First time I really had a conversation with my dad, I was probably about 27, 28 years old. And, I just wanted to know why he wasn't there. And he told me, and I understood that. But, at the same time, as a man growing up, my father told me, he said, from being around, he said, son, I never did with you what you're doing right now. I never ran a household. I never paid bills. I don't know what it's like to be a husband and a father and he said he was learning from watching me. And right now, I'm raising my little brother, his youngest child, my little brother, which I had him since he was 10. He's 15 years old now. And, I got him because I seen my little brother going down the wrong path. And what I tell my kids all the time, I believe there's 2 gems, 2 keys that you want to find in life, no matter how young you are, how old you are. I feel that once you figure out who you are and what your purpose is, that's jewel, and that's gem number 1. If you know who you are, what you want for yourself, where you come from and where you're going, that's a major, major jewel nobody can take away from you. And if you can care about somebody outside of yourself, a total stranger, I think that's a gem, because not mom, not dad, not your sister, your brother, just a total stranger. If you just care about the well-being of another person and helping them become successful, or helping them in a predicament that they need help in, with no strings attached, that's beautiful. That's actually humanity to me. That's, brotherhood, that's sisterhood. That's what it's about. No matter what race, color, creed, what zip code you come from, just wanting to help another person, to me, I think is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We need to practice more of that, loving each other, supporting each other, even telling each other how much we love them while we're still here, is very important. So just as a father, I was a young father, just been blessed. I've been in this city all my life. I done some things. I was a knucklehead at one point in time, and I had to get myself together. Everybody finds their path, and I had great people to not let me stray too far off my path. That's what's important. I tell kids all the time, your network determines your net worth. If you don't know anybody, how can you become successful? A lot of times it's not about what you have, it's about who you know, a lot of times. So don't burn bridges and make relationships. A lot of times, I go to places and you'll see people that are just standoffish. They don't talk, they don't mingle. So how can you progress? How can you get anywhere if you're scared to open your mouth and talk and meet new people? That's what it's about. And I just really try to practice what I preach, pretty much to myself, my biggest critic. I never think I'm doing enough. Like Brother Barfield says, I don't think I'm doing enough. I'm constantly trying to create more sports, because when you see our youth, mainly the youth out here, suffering, I don't think children should die at 13 or 14 years old. I think that's horrible. So, it's like, what can I do? Not point the finger. How can I be the solution? A lot of times we talk about the problem. We talk and we talk and we talk. Let's get to the solution. How can we identified it. Now let's try to solve this problem here. Us continue to talk about the problem is not going to get us anywhere. So, that's what I like to do. Be more proactive instead of reactive. And, like I said, I love my city. It's made me, who I am. The Centerville Simbas gave me so much. Coach Bill Wallace, he's one of my coaches. He works over at the Kroc Center now, but I was just, I was with him last night, just having those relations. These are men that coached me when I was a kid, and I can still call on these men right now as an adult, and that's what I want to be for youth. So, last night we kicked off the first night of our youth mentoring book club for youth, and I was happy. A lot of the youth there, they got to express themselves, and most of them there, it was probably about 7 or 8. I think 7 of them didn't have a father in the house, and you can hear the pain. One of the kids in particular, one of the young kids, even in 2nd grade, he plays for me, and I didn't even know this from coaching him over a couple years, that his dad died when he was 2 years old, and I could just hear in his voice the pain of not having a dad there. So I tell my son all the time, which has his mother, his father, he knows both his grandmothers, both his grandparents. I said, you're a privileged kid, because a lot of kids don't have that. You have a whole village around you, so you have no choice but to be successful. You can't go any other way. Anything you do that's not of success is on you, because you have all the keys right here in front of you to be successful. So as a parent, and as a, I guess, community leader out here, I just encourage parents to invest in your children as much as you can. Just spend time with them, find out what their interests are, and invest in your children. I believe that investing in your child is like investing in yourself. They're an extension of you. So how can you go wrong? I'm going to always bet on me. So at the end of the day, I just feel that we need to invest more into our children and more into our community, into ourselves, and support, just period. If we have, businesses in the community, our businesses, minority business, a lot of time they open and they close real fast because of lack of support. We have to support each other here in this community, no matter what it is. Saturday, we're having the second annual male conference over at Big Picture Learning Academy. So any males in here right now, no matter how young or old, we want you to come on out. It's from 12 to 4. It's totally free. We have some great workshops. We have a nice spread. The ladies come out. They cook. They serve the men. And it's just a great opportunity for men to build and connect. 'Cause I know a lot of times, even as a man myself, my dad is not there right now. My dad is currently incarcerated right now. Almost 60 years old. You know, he's incarcerated. Just didn't make good choices. So, you know, I was talking to my mother the other day. You know, I have teenagers in the house, and sometimes it just gets crazy because teenagers, you guys, sometimes are just crazy. But you know, I just told my mom, I said, you know, sometime when I need someone to talk to, that male figure, my dad is not there. And I was telling the kids last night because they felt some type of way because they didn't have their fathers in their life. I said, I'm 36 and I don't have my dad. So I'm right with you. I can relate to you. So a lot of times you think sometimes that we haven't been youth before. We were all young before as well. So we've been there before. You know, we still go through things as adults as well too. So, you know, it's always somebody that can relate to you, no matter who it is. You just have to reach out, use your resources. I'm big on my kids about that. Use your resources. Don't look at your teachers and your principal as enemies. Look at them as friends. Look at them as allies. Somebody that can actually help you. A lot of times in Camden, people say there's nothing here, but there's a lot that goes on here. We just have to learn to utilize and tap into those resources. And a lot of times it's pride. Oh, I don't like this person that's running this program, so I don't do it. But you're shortchanging yourself. There's nothing I'm too prideful for to help myself or my family. I'm not too prideful. So at the end of the day, I try to tell people, get that out the way. Let's get that out the way. So for me, you know, I just like to work, you know, with everybody. I appreciate you gentlemen from coming here. I definitely appreciate it. I didn't catch your story, but I definitely love what I heard from you, brother. I know Brother Barfield is a great man, always involved. So I definitely appreciate it. And like I said, any men out there that are doing work, you know, continue to do what you do. And as a man, as a coach, I'm asking you guys for your help. Over at the Centerville Simbas, I have about 150, 175 kids, but I don't have enough men. This year we did basketball for the first year. We had 140 kids. I only had 5 coaches, you know, so I had 15 and 16 kids on the team. Anybody that knows about basketball, that's too many kids to have on a roster to try to rotate. But we had 10 teams. I couldn't stretch it anymore. I had each coach coaching 2 teams. It's like these people still have lives, you know, so we need help. We need men. A lot of times the sisters are stepping up. Right now I have a female football coach, Coach Deneen. You know, she's opposed to working. You know, she gets right off of work in her uniform. She's coaching baseball right now. She coaches baseball. She coaches football. You know, the women are stepping up. Us as men, we need to step up. You know, we need the men to step up and support these women. So, you know, to my women, to my sisters out there, you guys have been doing an amazing job. I thank you. We appreciate you. If nobody has told you, I do. So, you know, pretty much, you know, I just believe that everybody in here, no matter young or old, you can be successful. If it's something that you have on your bucket list or your checklist that you haven't done, do it. I just feel that until I go on the ground, I'm going to continue to strive towards my goals and try to make myself happy and travel and just do that. Even living in Camden, you know, travel. There's a lot of kids here that don't get to leave the city. So, you know, I love that. In our football organization, we travel. We get to travel. Kids get to see other communities. 2 years ago, we actually took kids down to Florida because we're in Pop Warner. We get to play if we win. We go to Orlando, Florida. We play at the ESPN Wild World of Sports. We took 23 kids from the city down there. They flew on airplanes first time for majority of the kids. We got the chance to go to Disney World, play football in December, 90-degree weather under palm trees. You know, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. So just giving kids exposure. I had a lot of times took kids. We went to we were wrestling. We went to Morristown High School and just riding down Route 38. Some of the kids seen some of the kids out there ice skating, you know, because it was wintertime, and that blew their mind because they never saw anything like Coach, they're ice skating. I'm like, yeah, that's what they do. You know, in these kind of communities, they, you know, they go in these different schools and, you know, they like, wow, you know, so, you know, I'm all for, you know, right now it's a big thing about Camden High. You know, I think our kids need new facilities and, you know, resources so they can feel good about themselves when they come to school and want to achieve and aspire. I mean, even with our city, you know, it's about, you know, making our city look good, you know, working with what we have, you know, because a lot of times I just feel, I know it's true that, you know, when you're in a clean and nice environment, you feel better about yourself. You want to do better. You want to take care of your community if it looks, you know, nice. You're not just going to allow somebody to throw trash, you know, down in your street. So, you know, just caring about our community, loving on each other, And I just believe that, you know, I say this all the time, men and women of caliber don't use the word can't unless it precedes the word fail. There's nothing you can't do but fail. And 99% of success is failure. So at the end of the day, if you never fail, you cannot never know what not to do. So don't look at bump in the road as, oh man, my life's over. It's no. If you're alive and breathing, you have a second shot at it. You can take another shot. So, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm pretty sure all these men here, we all make mistakes, but it's about that resilience, you know, getting up and continue to move forward. So, you know, I'm not going to be here all day because I can continue to go, but I definitely appreciate you guys, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Hornsby. And as he mentioned, kind of like that's kind of been the whole theme. He really summed it up, you know, in reference to the 3 areas that we really wanted to talk about, the role that we have in the community. And these gentlemen typify that what we need in that community. He just broke it all down. Mr. Brent, he talked about it, the important role that his father played in his life, and you know, the resilient that by working hard and at a young age, you know, he's able to continue to kind of build on his father's legacy. You know, Mr. Young, like you're saying, it's a wealth of resources at one stop. It's not just for services like he mentioned that people think, oh, that's just for people who's on welfare. You know, they have a lot of programs and they have grants and stuff that you can go and you can get certification and a lot of different career moves. Well, it was another document that I had shared with Mr. Young earlier that's on the website. And every student should have this document. Every student is turning 18 in New Jersey. It's a PDF file, right? And it has the content on it. It has like 9 chapters. And it tells you what happens when you turn 18 years old. Everything legally now is you're in a whole different ball game. So it helps you understand, like saying, life after high school. I'm just going to read the titles, but you have like 10 pages or 5 pages for each chapter. Point it talks about being a good citizen, relationships, including domestic violence, date rape, some of the things that our teenagers, and when you become adults and you start out here interacting with females, things that you may find yourself in a situation. Y'all need to understand these laws and things when it comes to harassment and stalkers and things of that nature. Managing your money, bank account, your credit, identity theft prevention, student loans, your first apartment. At some point, I would hope and think that one day y'all want to have your own place. So these are the things in the law to let you know, that give you some guidelines to help you, because sometimes as teenagers, we're finding our way, like we're saying, we found our way through life. You know, sometimes and especially as males who, like for me, I grew up, my father was never in my life. You know what I mean? So how do I become the father that I am? I had to figure it out. You know, I was scared when I first had my son. I was 35 years old. You know what I'm saying? I done traveled. You know, I was fortunate enough that I had a good job and a good career. But still being a father was a whole totally different situation. So again, you find your way going through life, and you're trying to figure out, and you're learning through experiences all the time. Instead of having a document that helps guide you, that you can use this as a resource. Your rights as a consumer. Because what's going to happen is, you go out here, you spend your money, you may go get a car or something, and you say, oh, I done saved years trying to get this car. And you got it, and somebody done took advantage of you. So what do I do now? Oh, I'm just going to let it go. Who was mentioning that earlier in reference to about the fact of interest, about your son, when he was just like, oh, that's all right. Why are you giving these people your money? Why are you going to a check cashing place instead of having a bank account? You know, things like that, where students is like, oh, well, I don't care. That adds up. You know, financial literacy. You have an economics class here in y'all school, and this is the part too that really, and this is one of the reasons why we're trying to talk to you guys, is students, because y'all have the resources here that doesn't cost you anything. that you can learn and take advantage of, because once you get out of school, everything costs. Information and knowledge cost. You're not going to get nowhere without any certification and without any education. Point blank. So back to the document. Again, it's going to help you about your consumer rights, rules of the roads, because y'all driving now. So, okay, the average kid, when you get in, you're going to have tickets. You're going to find yourself getting caught in these different bonds, and because you want to drive, I'm going to take a chance, and then next you know, you got all these tickets, you got these points, your insurances is going up now because your cops is pulling you over, and you constantly tickets on top of tickets, and then next you know, you're incarcerated. So again, how can you take care of your child? How can you take care of your family when your limited income is, you're constantly going back further and further in debt? Debt is the modern day slavery, because the debt, your credit and everything depends on basically how you live your life, how you're able to be mobile in life and death situations. Because just like Mr. Hornsby said, we have too many of our children or too many people that are dying and nobody has no insurance. GoFundMe accounts. And we didn't get a chance to really talk about investments, because life insurance is an investment. You know, so my point again is that when we talk about the court system, because a lot of us at some point are going to go through court system, whether you're going through child support, whether you're going through, like we're saying, anything, it could be estates, it could be anything, you're going to deal with the court system. So I would recommend and encourage individuals, just Google turning 18 in New Jersey, and it's a PDF file. This is a great resource that every child should have. And then the other part is that I wanted to share was, and I don't know if they have an updated one of this version, Mr. Young, but this is a document that I had downloaded years ago that One Stop had gave out, and it was about demanded occupations. And what happens is you have different levels. You have like a basic skills, mid-level skills, and high skills. And what happens is it shows you basically your skills you need for that particular job. It shows you what abilities you need to be able to perform the duty, and your knowledge base. It talks about the training and the education that you will need, and then it also talks about the hourly wages. So we ain't even getting to the economics of how much does it cost when you add up paying for rent, paying for a car insurance, a car. We ain't talking about if you got children and you want clothes, you want to go out and eat. It's a whole lot to how you have to be, your knowledge and information you need to manage your life. So in the job description. So information like this, you know, you can Google and you can research, but just like a lot of the individuals that are here in this community, you know, it starts at a young age. And you don't have to wait till you get out of school to do this research. And I'm just, you know, going to close on in reference to, like, and I don't know how many of you individuals heard the gentleman Nuri Muhammad that came here a couple weeks ago to talk to the students in reference to about knowledge. And like they said, knowledge is the most powerful weapon in the world. People perish from the lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge, lack of self, and knowing thyself. And this is what encouraging the individuals who are not reading, that you have to read. And that's when one of the parts that we talked about as far as literacy and reading, because just like the gentleman who's going to school, college to be a doctor, I can imagine how much hours you put in actually reading and studying. Studying with what? Studying with thesauruses, dictionaries. You know, every one of you guys should be having the dictionary, should be your best friend. And then I ain't even talking about this. This is the dictionary of law, because you're governing under basically Roman code. And it's a lot that education in this education system is not going to tell you, that once you get out there, you're going to find it's a lot of things that you're not going to understand, that every time you sign your name, you're signing a contract. And a lot of times you ain't even going to understand the repercussions. You'll be like, why am I getting this letter saying I owe XXXXXX? And you be like, what? I ain't. Did you read the contract? The credit card, contract. Car payment, contract. a lease, a mortgage contract. You want to think, I'm going to walk away. I ain't worrying about it. Then when you try to go and get something else, oh, we can't give you this such and such and such because we see that you ain't paid this bill. So again, strength, courage, wisdom, along with reading, studying, and research is critical, and minimizing the weapons of distraction. Artificial intelligence, and watch out for mass deception, because everything is not what you see. Everything is glamorized on television to make it like, oh, this is ideal situation. Oh, it's good to have the cars. Good. I mean, sometimes even not to be chauvinistic, even like with the females, it's some costs and it's some things that go along with that responsibility. Responsibility, as Mr. Hornsby said, being a father, being there at a young age, and raising his sons, and being there with his childhood sweetheart, his wife, is again those areas that we have to cover. And as the parent, and as a parent, I take my job seriously. And again, we are here to support, love, provide, teach, guide, and encourage you guys. So that's one of the reasons why we came today, because we want to share this message with you guys. And the sad part again is that when we, and I know in time and place that the students will be ready to receive this information, but we always feel as though we need to be more out in the community, as Mr. Hornsby said, and give more of ourselves and our time to the children in the community. And it's not necessarily our children, it's everyone else, because we're all in this community and we're all in this together. So in that, I'm gonna close that out. I don't know if there's any additional questions that anybody has for our panelists.
Something else I want everybody to keep in mind, and especially for this new generation that's coming up of kind of the me generation, kind of I want instant gratification now. I want to be on top right now. Remember one thing: everything works, and it's a process. It's a process. It took me, I started working when I started building houses at 16 years old. I'm 48 years old now, and I'm really just starting to get the things that I want, really starting to be comfortable on it, and getting to where it's a point where, and I'm not wealthy, you know what I mean? I do good, you know what I mean? I can afford to splurge if I need to splurge, but it took a long time in order for you to do that. So just remember something: it's a process. Everything that you start, somebody's got to start somewhere at the bottom, right? And that's the best way to get it. If you work your way through life and you do the right things through life, life will reward you. It will reward you. And we both said it in different aspects. Remember, nobody tell you can't do anything at all. But you do right by life, and life will do right by you. And that's something to keep in mind. It's remember, it's a process. I can't be 18 years old and walk into a company and expect to be the CEO by 19. It just doesn't work that way. You're going to find yourself on the outside looking in more than anything. So just if you really, really concentrate on that and really remember that everything has you got to work for it. You can't be given it. With my kids, it's the same way. It's no different. You want a car? Okay, great. I'll get you a car. I started with a $500 car. Guess what? You can start with a $500 car too. Got me around from A to B. If you want something bigger than a $500 car, then you go earn it, and you go do what you need to do to make it happen. And they get more responsible that way. You find out they start to keep it clean, right? They drive my truck or drive my car around. They don't care how it looks because it's not theirs, right? But understand the process. Understand there is a process. And if you do find yourself straying off of your path, remember your process takes a little bit longer at that point, but it's still a process, right? And own it. Whatever choices you make in life, own it. And that's the most important thing that I can probably leave you with right now. Thank you.
You have any final words, Mr. Brent? I'm good. Okay. Well, again, I'd like to thank you students that hung in there and Barrett, us actually trying to, communicate with you guys. I'm gonna turn it over to the president so she can close out our meeting. President Miss Gooden.
I truly got a lot of information, and I appreciate it. And I hope you young men and the young ladies that's still here, I just want to once again, thank y'all for coming out. And I want you young people to know you're our future. You're not only got your hands on your future, you're our future. So we'll have to turn it over to y'all. So please be prepared. Thank you for coming.